Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into something pretty universal for mobile app users. Updates. You know, those times your apps get refreshed, sometimes it's smooth, sometimes maybe not so much.
Exactly. And we've gathered quite a bit of info on how to make them work better.
Yeah, we've got insights on everything from, basic tips for smooth rollouts, the benefits of keeping those updates coming, to the nuts and bolts of implementing them in things like Flutter, React Native, iOS Swift.
Mm-hmm. And even getting into some more, let's say, advanced tactics, like forced upgrades using custom attributes for targeting this concept of upgrade walls.
And even localization for the messages, which sounds small but probably isn't.
It can make a surprising difference, yeah.
So the mission for this deep dive, to give you a really solid grasp of the best practices for app updates and look at some solutions that can make life easier for developers.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Well, making updates smooth. Where does that process actually begin? It's not just hitting upload, is it?
Oh, definitely not. It starts way earlier with planning. Good planning. The sources we looked at really hammer this home.
Okay.
You've got to test thoroughly. Think about all the different devices out there, the different OS versions. You need to really put the update through its paces.
Right. You don't want to push something out that just, breaks the app for half your users because they have a slightly older phone or something.
Exactly. And that's where beta testers are invaluable. They're like your early scouts.
Finding the landmines before everyone else steps on them.
Pretty much. Getting their feedback, seeing how it actually performs in the wild, not just in the lab. It's crucial for catching problems early.
Makes sense. And what about telling people it's coming?
That's the other big piece of the puzzle. Communication. Proactively letting users know an update is planned, maybe when it's expected.
Yeah.
It just manages expectations.
A little heads up avoids that. What just happened to my app?
Precisely. It reduces friction and frustration.
Okay, so you've planned, you've tested, you've communicated, the update is live. What then? How do you keep things smooth during the rollout?
The key is making the actual process of updating as easy as possible. Minimal effort for the user.
Like those in-app update prompts.
Exactly. In-app updates are great for this. Users don't have to leave the app, go find it in the store. They can often just tap update right there, much more convenient.
Fewer steps, fewer chances for them to just not bother.
Right. But, things can still go wrong sometimes, even with testing.
Yeah, bugs happen. What's the plan then?
You need to be ready to react fast. If users hit issues or if something in the new version is confusing, you need to jump on it.
With clear instructions, maybe? Or a quick fix?
Both are good options. Clear FAQs, maybe a quick patch update if it's a real bug. And critically, you need to listen after the update. Monitor feedback, reviews, social media.
You'll catch things you missed.
Exactly. It's not fire and forget. It's an ongoing loop.
Yeah.
Release, listen, adjust, repeat.
Okay, that makes sense. It's a cycle. Now, you mentioned earlier the idea of continuous updates. What's the real power behind doing updates regularly, not just when something breaks?
Well, it's interesting because it goes beyond just fixing things. Regular updates are actually a pretty powerful tool for keeping users engaged, for keeping them around.
Oh, so.
Think about it. If you're constantly fixing those little annoyances users report, squashing bugs, they feel like you're listening, that builds loyalty.
Yeah, I guess if an app just sits there with known bugs, you eventually drift away.
Right. And it signals the app is active, maintained. Plus, it's not just about fixes. Introducing new features keeps things fresh.
Like a new filter in a photo app or a new level in a game.
Exactly. Things that give users a reason to come back and explore. And don't forget performance. Faster load times, smoother scrolling.
Those under-the-hood improvements.
Yeah, they might seem small, but they add up to a much better experience. Nobody likes a slow, clunky app.
True. So continuous updates are about refinement, engagement, and just keeping the app feeling alive and well.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing investment in the user experience.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit to the how. We saw information about a tool called App Upgrade. What's the deal with that? How does it help, especially across different platforms?
Right. So App Upgrade is positioned as a service specifically to simplify managing these updates for both Android and iOS, which is a big plus.
Cross-platform help?
Yeah. The setup seems fairly standard. You sign up, create a project for your specific app, and they give you an API key.
Like a password for your app to talk to their system?
Sort of, yeah. It identifies your app. Then you integrate their SDK, their software development kit, into your app.
And they have SDKs for the big ones, Flutter, React Native.
Flutter, React Native, and native iOS Swift are mentioned. The integration usually involves like running an install command.
Using a package manager, probably.
Right. And then adding a bit of code in your app. The examples show wrapping part of your UI with their component. And you tell it key things. Your app's ID, its name, the version number it currently is, the platform, Android or iOS, the environment, like production or testing.
In a language, too, you mentioned?
Yeah, app language. And there are optional bits, too, like if your Android app is on stores other than Google Play, you can specify that.
So you basically embed their little piece of code, give it the app's details, and then it can manage the update checks.
That's the idea. Once it's integrated, you test it by going into the app upgrade dashboard online and creating a version entry.
And what goes in that entry?
You tell their system, okay, for this app name, this version number, on this platform, in this environment, here's the update message I want users to see. And crucially...
Let me guess. Forced or not forced?
Exactly. You specify if it's a force upgrade or just a recommended one.
Okay. And then what does the user actually see?
So when the user starts the app, the SDK checks in with the app upgrade service using that version info. If an update is needed based on what you said in the dashboard, it pops up an alert inside the app. And that alert looks different depending on whether it's forced or not. A recommended update usually has, update and later buttons. It's dismissible.
But a forced one?
A forced one is typically non-dismissible. It'll just have an update now button, basically saying you need to do this to continue.
Got it. So App Upgrade acts like a central control panel for triggering these alerts, tailored for different versions and platforms. That leads nicely into talking more about those force upgrades. Why are they sometimes necessary, even if users don't love them?
Yeah, the sources really emphasize that sometimes they are just, essential. It's about compelling users to get onto the latest version.
And the reasons. Security seems like a big one.
Absolutely number one. If a serious vulnerability is found in an older version, you need to get everyone updated quickly to protect them and your systems. Banking apps are the classic example here.
Right, you can't risk financial data on an old, insecure app version. What else?
Compatibility is another big one. Sometimes older app versions just won't play nicely with newer operating system updates from Apple or Google. It might crash, or features might break. A force upgrade prevents that chaos.
So it ensures the app actually works reliably for everyone.
Exactly. And it also makes life much simpler for the development team. Supporting dozens of old versions is a massive drain on resources. If everyone's on the latest, you can focus on moving forward, fixing current bugs, building new features.
It makes sense from a development perspective. But yeah, back to the user. Forcing an update can feel, forceful.
It definitely can. And the sources acknowledge this potential friction. The key, again, is communication.
Explaining why it's happening.
Yes. Be transparent. Use those customizable messages, like the ones App Upgrade offers, to explain why this update is mandatory. Is it a critical security fix? Does it enable essential new features? Explaining the why can really help.
So transparency can soften the blow. Okay. Now, something else that sounds powerful is custom attributes for targeting updates. What's that about?
This is where you get really granular control. Custom attributes let you target updates based on criteria you define, beyond just the app version or platform.
So not just everyone on version 1.2 needs 1.3.
Right. Think more specific. Maybe you find a bug that only affects users on, say, Android 9.
Okay.
You could define a custom attribute for the Android OS version and push a fix only to those users still on Android 9.
Wow, okay. That's targeted.
Or imagine new regulations in a specific country. You could use a country attribute to roll out the necessary changes just to users there.
Or maybe target beta testers?
Yeah.
Or premium users?
Exactly. You could have a user group attribute. The possibilities are kind of limitless based on whatever data you track about your users that's relevant.
So it's about sending the right update to the right slice of your user base without bothering everyone else.
Precisely. It allows for much more efficient and strategic updates. Very flexible.
Okay, that's super interesting. Now, sometimes you need to go even further than just recommending or forcing an update for a specific version. What about stopping all older versions from working? That's the upgrade wall, right?
That's right. An upgrade wall, or update wall, essentially blocks older versions from using the app altogether.
Why would you need to do that? Sounds pretty drastic.
It is, but sometimes necessary. A major reason is breaking changes in your back-end systems, your APIs.
Meaning the old app literally can't talk to your servers anymore.
Correct. The communication protocols change, and the old app just won't function, or it'll cause errors. An upgrade wall is needed then. Another critical reason is severe security flaws in older versions that just can't be left active.
Okay, security again. Or maybe pushing adoption of major new features.
That too. If a new feature fundamentally changes the app and relies on the latest version, you might use a wall to encourage everyone to move over.
And there are different types of walls, hard versus soft.
Yeah, two main flavors. A hard upgrade wall is absolute. It blocks the app completely. User sees a pop-up, probably non-dismissible, with just an update button. No way around it.
Full stop. What's a soft wall then?
A soft wall is more of a very strong suggestion. It shows an alert urging the user to update, explaining why it's important, but crucially, it's dismissible.
So they can choose to ignore it for a while.
Yes, they might have a later or skip button, allowing them to continue using the older version, at least temporarily. Services like App Upgrade apparently offer tools to set up both types.
So you can choose how strict you need to be based on the situation. Hard wall for critical issues, soft wall for strong encouragement. Makes sense. One last detail. Localization of the update messages.
Yeah, this is a nice touch for user experience, especially for global apps.
Just means showing the update prompt in the user's own language.
Exactly. Instead of a default English message popping up for someone whose phone and app are set to, say, Spanish or French, they see the message in Spanish or French.
Much less confusing and feels more integrated, I imagine.
Definitely. It makes the whole process feel smoother, more respectful of the user's preferences. It removes a potential point of friction or confusion.
Right. A small detail, but one that shows you're thinking about the whole user experience. Okay, so wrapping this up, we've covered a lot of ground on making app updates work well.
Absolutely. I think the big takeaways are the need for really solid planning and testing up front.
Yeah, and that proactive communication with users.
Right. And the benefits of that continuous cycle of updates, fixing things, adding features, improving performance.
And how tools like App Upgrade can really streamline managing all that, especially across platform.
Plus the strategic thinking around when to use things like force upgrades or upgrade walls.
And not forgetting the user experience touches, like those localized messages.
It all adds up.
So here's something to chew on as we finish. Think about how getting your app update strategy right could genuinely transform not just how your app functions technically, but that whole ongoing relationship you have with your users, their satisfaction, how long they stick around. Is there maybe one part of your current update process, perhaps something you haven't focused on much before, that could be tweaked to really boost engagement and keep users happy long term?
That's a great question to ponder. And of course, if you want to dig deeper into any of this, especially the specifics of App Upgrade or the implementation details, the sources we drew from their website, blog, documentation are the places to go. Lots more detail there.